Welcome to worship with the Universalist Unitarian Church of Peoria. My name is the Reverend Jennifer Innis. It is my great joy to be the minister of this congregation of people of all ages at all stages of life. This is a beloved community striving to live into its mission of embracing freedom, loving wholeheartedly, growing in mind, body, and spirit, and adding to the wholeness and the healing of the world. We welcome people of all ethnicities and races, sexual orientation, gender identities, social and economic situations, politics, and abilities. We advocate for human rights, and we strive to be good stewards of the one earth. And in living our mission, we recognize the deep network of relationship of which we are a part. This is the ancestral home of the Peoria people. They and other nations were here long before the first European settlers came down the Illinois River. And so we take a moment, as we have been asked to do, to recognize the Peoria people and many others for who they were and for who they are today. I want to thank folks for joining us in person and online. It is no small thing to come into a community and say, I wonder what is my place in this moment, in this place here. So appreciate everybody who is joining us, especially those who are brand new. Please help us get to know you. We have lots of name tags. We have lots of information. We love all the questions. You might get answers too. Yes, we have all the questions and we love the answers. And I invite folks to stay after service today and join us in Fellowship Hall for coffee and conversation. And also, if you're on Zoom with us, you're welcome to be in that conversation as well. I want to invite folks to turn and check your respective devices to see that they are in worship mode. Of course, if they're medical and need to be out loud, we understand that as well. So I have a few notes for today. First, let's see, that on Friday, this coming Friday, it's been a little bit of a long time coming, we have a conversation with the Reverend Sharon Dittmar, who is one of our representatives from our larger Unitarian Universalist Association. She is coming to talk with us, to listen to us, in fact, about the congregation, about our stories, about our understanding of how we are connected, and what does kind of Unitarian Universalism look like in Peoria in this moment. There is potluck, so I want to invite folks to sign up in the foyer or on the online button for the potluck, and also to be able to come a little bit early to help. If you'd love to let me know if you're wanting to help and be there a little early, I'd really appreciate that. There also is childcare available, although certainly children are part of the conversation as well. And I want to just recognize how valuable it is to pause for a moment. We have people who have been with this congregation for decades. If you're come to the third Thursday ladies' lunch, then we get to kind of every so often hear how long people have been members of the congregation. Some people have memberships that are older than I am. Wow. All right. And some folks have joined us in the last year. And many of us admire the strength of, say, communities in Minneapolis and the depth that came from that effort and attention of creating deep networks of mutual support. So, taking up that spirit, it is worth it, even for a precious Friday night. It is worth it to learn more about each other and the congregation and Unitarian Universalism, and to wonder together where we might go in the future. So this conversation also informs the board's work. Just so you know, the board is going to be hanging out next Saturday and kind of talking amongst itself as well about how to be more powerful and better leaders. And so we'll meet on Saturday with Reverend Sharon to talk about and how to be good leaders with this congregation. So I really want to invite folks to come to join us on Friday night if you can, if at all possible. All right. And now, let's see, also for this immediate Sunday, right after service today is our youth and young and emerging adult potluck in the conference room. And our music focuses on Songs for the Resistance as part of preparing for the No Kings Part 3 on March 28th. On Thursday, this coming Thursday evening, the first Songs for the Resistance practice will happen at the 3300 Event Center. A second rehearsal for that will be here on March 22nd. So I invite you to check out all the newsletters and the order of service for more details. All right. So let's enter into service with our opening song. This is one we've been working on together, Forget Your Perfect Offering from Leonard Cohen, or adapted from Leonard Cohen. So if you are new to us, feel free to just listen for a bit. And if you've been singing this for a while, come on and add your voice to the song. And let me invite our hymn support. I invite you to please rise in body or spirit, and this is a follow along. So I sing, you sing, I sing, you sing, and we go from there. Forget your perfect offering. Ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. 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 Forget your perfect offering. Ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. 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 Forget your perfect offering. Ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. 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 Last, forget your perfect offering. Ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. 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 You got it. All right. And I welcome Gary Chatham forward to offer our opening words.
Good morning. This is And Yet You Persist by Reverend Gretchen Haley. Though you have been warned and given plenty of explanations, reasons to do otherwise, you have persisted to claim a life of joy and justice, to carve out this time the space for renewal of your own heart. Despite all the reasons, the resistance, fighting for your attention, luring you towards fear, you persist to practice gratitude for this day, this life that has been given, this chance to begin again. So let us gather that we might offer one another courage and strength, healing and hope, and this promise to persist in kindness, persevere in compassion, and prevail in a life that is for more than ourselves. Come, let us worship together.
Our chalice lighting today, The Flame Arising from Us by the Reverend Scott Taylor. We gather knowing our light can't reconstitute itself. Without each other, a coldness sits in, leaning on each other, trusting each other, helping each other fall back in love with life over and over again. Only from this does the flame emerge. Today, may it rise again.
I so appreciate the song by Hallie Alpert. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. During our music for meditation, all are welcome to come forward for a chance to light candles and make a small light that acknowledges what is with you and within you. If you are online, I invite you to let these candles be for you as well. Let us now enter into our music for meditation. from the Reverend Susan McGinn. Come into this room, weigh into this seat, breathe into this body, the very body that will be you, for better or for worse, in sickness and health, till death do us part. Come into this day, raise your gaze into this light, this one steadfast sun who watches over all growing beings, even you, even now. Come into this heart and break into the boundlessness of wild beauty, no beginning or ending in you, but flowing through like white water, reaching toward all that ever was and ever shall be. This is the time for the sharing of joys and sorrows in the congregation. I want to begin with a joy. So we congratulate Amy Pop and Neil Diamond on their wedding in Jamaica on February 2nd. Yoo-hoo! They were awfully pretty in their Facebook photos. Amy raised her children in this congregation and was our director of religious education for 20 years. So best wishes to Amy and Neil and congratulations to their families. And we turn to health. We offer care to Gary Chatham as he prepares to address concerns for his heart health. He will have an angiogram and possible surgery in the future. We offer care to Sarah Allen and her family. Her sister Susan has been through treatments and surgery for gallbladder cancer, and at this point, her condition is terminal. She has months to live. And their brother, Steve, is newly diagnosed with prostate cancer and an aggressive form of lymphoma. Steve and Susan live in Georgia. If you know Sarah, you know she's been traveling often to go support her sister and to be with her family. May Steve and Susan receive the care they need, each in their own way. And may Sarah know that she is loved and supported in this difficult time. We send wishes for health for Dave Grebner's nephew, Henry. Henry is facing some very serious health issues, and Dave asks us to send Henry our thoughts and prayers, and may Henry receive the care he needs. And we turn to a sorrow. We offer our condolences to Charity Kennedy and her family. Charity's stepbrother, Eric Myers, died unexpectedly on February 19th. He was 46. Charity is traveling to be with her family in Oklahoma to assist with arrangements. I want to turn to our larger world. The nation, and I suspect the world, mourns the death of civil rights leader, former candidate for president, and much more, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. On this 100th anniversary of recognizing Black history in this country, we honor the life of someone who spoke out for equality for all people, all race, on economics, on sexual orientation, and more. Reverend Jackson was with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during the civil rights era, two of the more notable Black men in the country. I remember when Reverend Jackson was the candidate for president in 1984 and then in 1988. I did not realize how important that moment was until much later. And he brought people together with his Rainbow Coalition. Truly, he was modeling and saying that all were welcome. And I remember seeing Reverend Jackson in his hometown of Greenville, South Carolina, when I was the minister there. His presence translated across space and time. Reverend Jackson also celebrated when President Barack Obama won the election to become the first Black man to hold the office. And Reverend Jackson kept speaking up and showing up for as long as his 84 years allowed. He was not without flaws, as all humans are. But he told us again and again, I am somebody until we believed it because we needed to believe it. And he knew that we must strive and we must keep dreaming. We are better and stronger for his gifts and for the charge to keep going in this work. I also want to recognize February 19th, 1942. It's the day that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt approved removing people from their homes and lives because they looked like the enemy. It is the anniversary of the incarceration of Japanese and Japanese Americans during World War II. Over 110,000 people were forced to give up their homes and schools and work to be relocated to detention centers and internment camps with poor food, water, and little health care. We fight against the racial profiling happening today, in part because we know how wrong this is because we have made that bad choice in the past. We must learn for the future. Let us hold one more moment together. In our circle, we have room for all the names, all the milestones, all the joys and sorrows that are among us. Let us hold this one moment in quiet and breathe. Shalom, salam, amen, and blessed be. So I wonder who here likes to sing? Who likes to sing? All right. Why do we sing? Why do we sing? Anybody know? Have a thought? Why do we sing? Joy. Yes. To comfort our dog? Yes. We must comfort the animal friends with the singing. Yes. They will not judge. It's wonderful. Yes. Yes. Why do we sing? To help? To help people when they're sad. Yes. Ooh, that's something too. All right. That is, in fact, one of the most powerful ways to take care of ourselves and each other is to sing together. We sing for joy. We sing for sorrow. We sing because it helps us remember to breathe. There's the in and the out, and the in and the out. And right now, we are singing for our lives while we speak up for the right to have a say in our lives, for our neighbors, and for our country as well. In March, people across the country will be gathering and speaking and singing about what matters to them. And we are starting to get ready. Because I think one of the songs that we'll be singing is this one that we've done a little bit earlier this month. We're going to do a little bit now as well. This is Hold On by Heidi Wilson. So we get to learn it a little bit better. And let's see. So I'm going to sing. It'll be a little bit of a call and response on this here. Oh, let me get this. Sherry, can you give me a note, please? Thank you. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. My dear one. My dear one. Here comes the dawn. Here comes the dawn. Let's do it again. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. My dear ones, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. Here comes the dawn. All right, let's rise in body or spirit, see if we can put it together. We'll go through it a few times. Let's begin. Oh, hold on. Oh, hold on. My dear ones, here comes the dawn. Hold on. Hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. Hold on, hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. Hold on, hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. Last time. Hold on, hold on. Sorry. My dear ones, here comes the dawn. All right, thank you. And now I invite us to sing out our children and youth and the helping adults as they go to their program for the day. So did you know that this congregation pretty much sustains itself financially? We are part of a larger denomination in our Unitarian Universalist Association, and each church handles its own governance, determines its leaders and criterion for membership. Each congregation creates and sustains its own budget. Each congregation is, in essence, a grassroots organization, serving with members and friends and family and community partners and much more. 3/4 of the budget comes from the annual financial commitments that we call pledges. And a pledge can be paid at any time in the course of the fiscal year, and many people set up an automatic payment from their banks. Now, regular income is fantastic. Let me say, so useful for planning, keeping the lights on, paying our excellent staff. And I will also add that automatic payments and the volume of those, which so appreciate, is partially why the physical Sunday collection plate doesn't kind of like overflow, right? When you pass the plate, you're like, gosh, it doesn't seem like there's a lot in there. Let me tell you, there's a lot more going on. And this is a good thing, but we'd like to see a big, abundant plate too. Isn't that nice? But giving is more than setting up a system. Giving, especially here, has meaning. We set aside time in the service to reconnect with the act of giving. I'm going to say for me, the collection plate, as someone who's grown up in church, sat with my mom as she gave me a little bit of something to put into the plate every time we sat together. It represents gratitude and service, and hope and love every time the plate goes by. And we also take a portion of our gifts and share it out with the community. And we do this through our Share the Plate practice. Half of the undesignated plate goes to a local group doing good work here for the month of February. Our partner in this is Peoria Proud. Now, Peoria Proud is supporting diversity and equity throughout our greater Peoria area. It's creating coalitions, community partners to create safe spaces for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, asexual plus community. Yahoo! Yes. We love an alphabet. Yes. And everybody included. And we do this through work with the River City Pride Festival and advocacy for legislation and much more. We really support their work in creating a place where everybody is safe and loved. And so I invite you, if you use envelopes in the pews or use the QR code, if you're using the envelopes and put in cash, please be sure to put your name and what the donation is for. We want to make sure to give credit where credit is due. And I appreciate all of the gifts. We appreciate all of the gifts that go into making this congregation possible, that go into living our mission every day, not just on Sundays. And now I invite the ushers to please come forward. One of the great gifts in a time of deep struggle is our creative response. Now, you're probably aware of, I think back last year, sometime back in the fall, one of the forms of protest took shape of people in inflatable frog costumes. And then that spurred many other versions of costumes along the way, and situated in front of overblown, overarmed displays of power to help people look very foolish in doing so, as well as emphasize the nonviolence of the protesting. Who is going to have the gall to harm somebody in a puffy frog costume? Honestly. We've also had a lot of forms of creativity show up in music. Music is one of the oldest and most common forms of revealing truth, showing strength, and bringing people together. Now, what's come together as a program called Singing Resistance is growing as an effort across the country. People are singing new songs and learning how to be singing together ahead of the third No Kings protest on March 28th. Now, I got one more song for folks. You all have been really good sports about getting into the songs today. We got one more song to learn. This one is brand new, created by Ann Schlafer during the recent federal operations in Chicago and Minneapolis. It is that new. And the message is for the immigration agents, for the federal agents, it is making an appeal to their humanity. It shows compassion and invitation, even though so many of these agents have been terrible and violent and cruel to the people. It is an example of amplifying the hope that light might get in the cracks. And if you haven't seen the videos for this song, it's called It's Okay to Change Your Mind. I recommend finding a way to see a recording of thousands of people singing this song outside the hotels where the federal agents are staying. Yes, it is meant to distract and disarm and disrupt, and it is also meant for good intent, that there is a path to relationship, and it reminds us as well to be welcoming, to be inclusive, to hold out the possibility for a change of heart. It is to mean what we say when we say we hope folks will turn away from fascism and harm and toward community. We need to be prepared to live it as well. We need to be able to give people a place away from systems that expect them to give up their humanity. So this is for them and this is for us as well. All right. And there's no good way to show a video for this. We're going to just give it a try. And it's okay. It's a work in progress. Because I now have to remember the tune as well. Yeah, it's that new. All right. So I think we're gonna sing it through once. Yeah, we'll do a call and a response. I'm gonna sing it through once. So we're gonna do it, then you can listen to it, then we'll do the lining out. All right. It's okay to change your mind. Show us your courage. Leave this behind. It's okay to change your mind. Then you can join us here anytime. All right. Now we're gonna do call and response. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. Show us your courage. Leave this behind. Show us your courage. Leave this behind. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. Then you can join us here anytime. Then you can join us here anytime. Do that one more time. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. Show us your courage. Leave this behind. Show us your courage. Leave this behind. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. Then you can join us here anytime. Then you can join us here anytime. Let's rise together and see if we can do it together. All right. It's okay to change your mind. Show us your courage. Leave this behind. It's okay to change your mind. Then you can join us here anytime. It's okay to change your mind. Show us your courage. Leave this behind. It's okay to change your mind. Then you can join us here anytime. It's okay to change your mind. Show us your courage. Leave this behind. It's okay to change your mind. Then you can join us here anytime. Last time. It's okay to change your mind. Show us your courage. Leave this behind. It's okay to change your mind. Then you can join us here anytime. Thank you. We're coming to the end of the month on the theme of resilience. And I'm going to say this month has been its own practice of resilience itself. As we started with what came in from January, and that theme of resistance was unexpectedly relevant when folks chose these themes last year. It is fitting that this month has followed up with resilience. And as I shared on February 1st and earlier this month on resistance and resilience, there is an and. There is an and in the relationship between the two. My colleague, the Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich, says, another way to think about resistance is that resistance helps us keep out the negative impacts, and resilience helps us bounce back from the negative impacts. Resistance helps keep out the negative impacts, and resilience helps us bounce back from the negative impacts. Resistance interrupts harm. Resilience helps us to respond when it shows up. And along those lines, we also gave ourselves the gift of pausing and feeling to acknowledge grief in its role in resistance and resilience. Grief of so many losses, they're personal, profoundly individual, but also social and civic. To be human is to lose so much all of the time. And the recognition of that fact, how much we lose, is part of connecting with the fullness of our lives. no matter how much we would wish that otherwise. It helps makes us fully human in this moment. And last week, we looked at resilience in the form of self-love, holding ourselves as precious and worthy and holy. All of these are practices in resilience. Now, today's note on that is not at all comprehensive, but sometimes we need reminders, including help me remember that my task as a preaching minister is not to try to say everything all at once. I'm working on that. But to speak to the moment. To speak to the moment. So in the practice of resilience, I have the question of what is the truth of our time and where do we go from here? I'm reminded in part of how there is a much larger picture. How the world has changed even as so much remains the same. Andrew Zolli, in his work, A Shift to Humanity, Resilience, and Expanding the Edge of Change, says, the ecological system, the economic system, the geopolitical system, the climate system, the food system are all connected to each other in ways that cause very complex, highly unpredictable, non-linear outcomes. All of those systems being connected leads us to a place where increasingly, instead of trying to find equilibrium in a planet that's out of balance, we also have to try and manage the unbalances and the imbalances. We have to manage in a world that is intrinsically out of order. And that includes protecting vulnerable people, especially from shocks and disruptions that are becoming the hallmark of this age. He says, the history of the 20th century was a history of huge explosion in human capacity. But think about this. You have a person who was born in 1900, had a lifespan of about 55 years in the West, and by the end of the century, that lifespan increased to nearly 80. We've also started to explore the atom. We have invented contemporary information society, for better, for worse. We have electrified the planet. So against that backdrop, you can sometimes forgive human beings for thinking that we're in control, that we have any kind of mastery. Not because we've solved every problem, but because there's a degree to which we think every problem is solvable. What's happened in recent years is that we have found that maybe we're not so smart. Maybe we're not. I love just having that question raised. And now maybe there's a shift to a kind of humility. A shift to a kind of humility that is beginning to ask questions. What are the steps that we can take to ensure that we manage around crises and risk, to recognize that there's no way to steer around the storms of our time, but how can we build something of a better boat or find something of a better path so more of us can survive? The storms include a long history of inequality and racial and other forms of oppression. And these are all storms of our own making. Humility includes realizing there is nothing new under the sun. Many of us have not felt so much of the impact of these systems of oppression until more recently. The depth of racism, for example, how little regard some people have for others. We're getting that revealed all over again and again just in these Epstein files, are we not? It was revealed during the Holocaust, wasn't it? And it was revealed when President Roosevelt signed the order to detain people of Japanese origin. Reverend Jesse Jackson and Dr. King were under no illusions of how people have been and are treated. Humans have such a long history of dehumanizing, of separating, of pitting one against the other, all for the benefit of few, for the sake of power and control. And this is part of the truth of the moment. This is part of being able to be equipped to respond, is to recognize what is before us. Timothy Snyder, American historian and author of the book on tyranny, is writing right now from his current work in Ukraine. Remember Ukraine? There's this place called Ukraine, and they're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their freedoms as well as for ours, as they're a bulwark against Russia's reach into Europe. Timothy Snyder says, empathy is not moral luxury. Empathy is not a moral luxury. It is a precondition of freedom. It is a precondition of freedom. My best night, he says, in Uzhhorod was a public conversation about freedom with the human rights activist and journalist and philosopher Maxim Bukovich, who, despite his own pacifism, joined the Ukrainian armed forces after the full-scale invasion. Maxim was captured by the Russians and held as a prisoner of war for over 2 years and was made to suffer. He talks about his captivity when asked, but the other night his attention was really on others, on Americans. He had just come back from the US and was asked why we seemed flabbergasted, which was his word, by predictable forms of oppression, which he was kind enough not to say have been experienced by others. Snyder goes on. We remember others. When we remember others, they remember us. And when we remember others and they remember us, we have a chance to remember ourselves. This remembering is an enormous practice. The interconnection that Zoli talks about, the humility, the empathy, these are all paths to freedom, to self, to community, to a global perspective in a shifting world. So where do we go from here? One of the things we can do is be singing. It's be breathing. Sing for what matters for others and ourselves, as is the case with It's Okay to Change Your Mind. We remember our own humanity and we invite people into theirs as well. It is a chance to transform hearts, ours and maybe others. I'm reminded very much of Octavia Butler in this time. She is one of those elders, authors, and now an ancestor, a Black woman of the 20th century, who called us to move away from our deep human tendency for hierarchy and domination. Butler wrote mainly works of speculative fiction that addressed racism, systems of oppression, as well as predicted apocalyptic futures of the world on fire and how long it takes for humans to live up to the interdependent web of existence. It's going to take a long time. But Octavia Butler didn't just write fiction. She wrote blueprints for surviving and shaping a changing world. So I want to finish the notes about practice of resilience with a few of Butler's points shared from Trelawney Michelle. One of the first things we can do is simply pay attention. As we were talking about earlier, in the scope of things, in the frame of the human history, simply paying attention and being willing and open to learn all the time. That's a good start. One of our most powerful tools is to build community with intention. One of the conversations earlier, I'm going to call this anecdotal, but I appreciate the image, is how much people have been praising the mutual aid that has been responding to people in need, to people who've been afraid to leave their homes, afraid to go to work, afraid to go to school, and how much people have been supporting one another, making sure that there's at least some food, some assistance, some watching over the children at the bus stop, and more. And how much this speaks to the capacity for mutuality. If we can amplify that, we would go a long way. What Octavia Butler also says is don't deny reality. Don't ignore the context, don't ignore our history, don't ignore what we do with each other that's right in front of each other. Don't deny the degree of harm, the habit of human treatment of one another. Don't deny it. I appreciate how Heather Cox Richardson, people ask her how she can keep looking at history and keep looking at the world and keep commenting with such a level, thoughtful tone. And she says, if I have information, I can make a plan. If I have information, I can make a plan. So don't deny reality. What Butler also calls us to is to keep dreaming, even as we're in the nuts and bolts, even as we're in the creation, even as we're mired in the reality, there's also dreaming. There is also dreaming. Reverend Jesse Jackson would be the first in line to say this again to us too. There is also dreaming. There's also dreaming. And finally, as Butler would put it, God is change. God is change. We are not in a fixed destiny, but we are in it together. We are not in an immutable point in space and time. We are in a place of shift, and it can keep going, and what is now doesn't have to be forever. But what can be possible, we must be thinking of it in order to get there. We are not in a fixed destiny. We are in it together. So pay attention and learn. Build community. Don't deny reality. Dream beyond the crisis. God is change. And maybe we just do this in a small scale, like keep singing. Like keep singing or keep dancing at the Valentine's dinner here at the church last Saturday. Or going to exploring the book Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. It's now being led by Jen McDaniel here at the congregation. Our task is to retain our humanity, to live humbly, and to commit to understanding how empathy is essential to liberation, to freedom. Empathy is essential to liberation and to freedom, mine and yours and everyone's. And along the way, we get to love fiercely in the process. In this moment, may we remember how much stronger we are together than apart. Trust that our connections sustain us in all moments, in every moments, even when we do not know the way forward. Let us go forth into the mystery, into love, into possibility, and keep being stronger and stronger again. Amen. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us for our closing hymn, number 169, We Shall Overcome.
Faith Like a Light by Reverend James Galasinski. Our faith, like a light, illuminates the path before us so that we can face hurt with love, cultivate compassion, live humbly in community, and confront despair with the awe of life. Though our flame is extinguished, our faith shines bright before us.
From the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage, we have blessed each other with word and song. We have embraced the greater truth of our resilience, one that is terrifying to systems that would keep us isolated, afraid, and angry. For when we come together, we remember who we are and whose we are. We are a living tradition of people who love fiercely, serve mightily, journey humbly with the spirit of life. May we depart in peace. May we depart as beloveds, held together in spiritual community, wherever we are, wherever we go. And may resilience cascade within us until we are together again. Our worship is ended. Let our service begin.
6 years ago, in a few weeks, they come in and lay everybody on. Here, Dave Clement, Reverend Dave. It sticks in my head every time I'm in this church. He came to get power, to give, to I believe it. I wasn't really no, I mean, I love your hair, by the way. I almost did you? His brother does not. Yes.